Did you know that 66% of would-be entrepreneurs never even start a business? Not because they lack ideas, but because they're afraid to fail. And here's the truth. No one wants to say out loud, some businesses are doomed before you even open the doors. You can pour your heart, soul, and savings into it and still lose everything. So today, I'm going to expose 7 of the most commonly started businesses that almost always fail, and more importantly, why they fail, so you can avoid wasting years of your life and thousands of your dollars. But just before we take a deep dive, it's imperative you hit that like button and subscribe so you get notified the minute we produce another game-changing video that affects your finances. I promise you'll appreciate it. Now, buckle up and let's plunge straight in. And by the way, I'm counting these backwards. So see if you can guess what number 1 is. So let's start with number 7, the ATM businesses, low return, high headache. Now, they pitch it as passive income, right? Install a machine, sit back and collect fees. But here's a reality check. The average ATM sees just 3 to 5 transactions a day, with average revenue around $2 to $4 per transaction. In case you haven't got your calculator, that's about $150 a month per machine. Not exactly passive riches. Worse? Well, ATMs require cash stocking, frequent maintenance, insurance against vandalism or theft, and let's not forget, cash use is in free fall. The Federal Reserve reported that only 18% of all payments in 2022 were made in cash, down from 26% in 2019. And the bad news is that trend won't reverse. So unless you're placing ATMs in high cash spots like cannabis shops or dive bars, which charge premium placement rents, while you're in a declining market with shrinking returns. On to number 6, Amazon FBA, the mirage of passive e-commerce. Amazon, fulfilled by Amazon FBA, looks like a gold mine until you're buried under it. 60% of all new sellers quit within the first year, and only 1% earn more than $100,000. Amazon itself is your biggest competitor, and sadly, they hold all the cards. They can ban you, copy your product, or even redirect your traffic with one algorithm tweak. So let's break it down. You don't own the customer, you can't email them, you can't even put a flyer in the box. Plus, most sellers spend thousands up front on inventory only to realize their margins are razor thin after Amazon fees, advertising costs, and returns. So unless you've got deep capital, supply chain knowledge, and a killer niche, this passive income stream, well, it can quickly become a money pit, no doubt. On to number 5, dry cleaners, a shrinking industry with a toxic legacy. Now, in 2001, the US had over 27,000 dry cleaners. By 2022, fewer than 16,500 remained. Now, why? Well, because of casual clothing, the work from home culture, the decline of suits, ties, and formal wear. So the demand for dry cleaning has collapsed. And here's the kicker. Most dry cleaners still use toxic chemicals, which contaminates the soil underneath the property. It's called remediation. And sadly, it's your responsibility if you own the business. The EPA says 75% of dry cleaners are contaminated. Cleanup costs anywhere from $10,000 to $500,000, depending on the state and the depth of the damage. So now what you've got is a declining customer base, old expensive equipment, environmental liability, and you're competing with mobile wash and fold apps and tech-driven laundry services. This is a declining hazardous industry dressed up as recession proof. So don't go there. On to number 4. This one probably won't surprise you, but it's gyms. High overhead and low survival rate. Now, I get it. You love fitness, so you open a gym. Motivational? Yes. Profitable? Not usually. Here's why. Gym equipment costs 100,000 plus. You need a large space, and people cancel memberships constantly. During COVID, over 20% of US gyms shut their doors permanently, and the industry still hasn't fully recovered. Even in normal times, the 5-year failure rate for gyms is over 80%, unless you're franchised or niche. Low-cost competitors like Planet Fitness, well, they dominate the market at $10 a month, while high-end chains like Equinox, well, they eat up the luxury crowd. And that leaves independents fighting for the middle, and middle ground in gyms is where profits go to die. Plus, you're competing against Peloton, YouTube workouts, and fitness apps. So unless you're hyper-local, niche-specific, and obsessed with retention and upsells, so think personal training supplements or classes, well, you're working out for free. On to number 3, retail stores, death by Amazon, and overhead. So the retail apocalypse is real. In 2023, 7,100 stores closed, and 45 retail chains filed for bankruptcy. Rent, utilities, inventory, payroll, all these costs come in whether or not a single customer actually walks in the door. Meanwhile, your customers are shopping online, price comparing on their phones, expecting 2-day delivery, margins are thin, and the competition is brutal. And foot traffic is unpredictable. And you can't just compete on price because Amazon already won that game. Worse, many retail businesses suffer from negative float. You pay up front for inventory and only get paid months later if it sells. And that, my friends, is a dangerous game to play, especially if your product becomes outdated or trend cycles shift. So unless your store is in a prime tourist location or it's backed by a viral brand, well, retail might feel more like a museum than a moneymaker. 2 to go, only 2 left. And number 2 on the list, hotels. Are they hospitality or a financial prison? Have you ever dreamed of owning a cozy B&B? Sounds charming until you see the books. So here's the data. The average hotel earns $94,000 a year. Average expenses are $96,000 a year. So you're in the red unless you use tax depreciation tricks or you get franchised. And even then, your take home is razor thin. Plus, running a hotel means 24/7 customer service, high payroll costs, constant repairs, landscaping, cleaning, front desk staffing, laundry, and now you're also competing with Airbnb and vacation rentals, which, by the way, don't carry the same overhead. Most independent hotels fail or stagnate unless they're franchised, where 10 to 15-year contracts take a big chunk of revenue. So yeah, owning a hotel sounds romantic unless you're replacing a toilet at 3 o'clock in the morning. And finally, on to number 1. Let's see if you could guess it. It's restaurants, where dreams go to die. And you probably guessed this one. So according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 60% of restaurants, excuse me, fail in their first year. I'll say that again because I was coughing. 60% of restaurants fail in their first year and 80% fail within 5 years. And here's why. Startup costs can exceed $500,000. Profit margins average just 3 to 5%. You've got spoiled inventory, high staff turnover, expensive rent, and surprise, surprise, customer loyalty is fickle. You're not just cooking, you're managing a marketing agency, an HR department, a supply chain, and a customer service operation. Oh, and one bad Yelp review, well, that could tank your sales for weeks. Unless you're franchised or you have a wildly successful niche, restaurants require immense skill, capital, and relentless marketing just to break even. Loving to cook is not enough. In fact, it might be the very worst reason to start a restaurant. Now, these 7 businesses look glamorous on the outside, but when you take a peek behind the curtain, they often have financial traps. Now, that doesn't mean you can't succeed, but it does mean you need to choose smarter. Avoid emotional decisions, follow the data, and play the long game. And if you're serious about starting a business, the good news is we've got more videos coming that break down the best low risk, high reward businesses for 2025 and beyond. So if this helped open your eyes and it saved you from a financial disaster, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below telling me what business idea you were thinking about and whether it made this list. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.